huge area. A lot of consulting companies have got into this e-government, and we've heard million stories about Estonia, e-Estonia. There's a great TED Talk about e-Estonia. It was so inefficient before in so many countries that I think we're going to look back and wonder like, oh wow, we were complaining about lines at the DMV, and yeah, now basically everything in Estonia, except when you pick up your identity card, the original, like the universal identity, you need to go in person. The other one is like real estate, and there's one more transaction. But outside of those 3 transactions, everything else is online, including voting. That's where it's going. So definitely government data is a huge source of data, and that's one's very important. Sandy Pentland has worked a lot in this area and opening up that data in a safe way so that all the companies can mine it. The health data. I mean, health data is, hospitals, health data, that's just going to explode. It's going to be great because we're going to enter an era of prevention. We're going to be able to pick up things way beyond they get to like the detection phase and then the treatment phase. Like we're going to catch them way before. And with precision medicine and nanobots and CRISPR, and we're going to live to be 140 years old. But that's not the important part. The part that's important is, I remember when Obamacare came out, and that was the whole pitch, prevention. But it didn't, I don't know, at least back then, I didn't hear all the data. It wasn't there. We didn't have all the stuff that we have now. Now we can actually implement prevention, real prevention, and it's going to reduce healthcare costs tremendously. At the same time, create an entirely new industry. Big tech is also getting into not only agriculture, but also pharma and health and hospitals that are doing all sorts of projects together. And we've heard about IBM Watson cancer detection, and algorithms are really good at detecting false negatives, and people are really good at detecting false positives. And like anything else, together, the combination makes it almost perfect. So definitely a lot of that coming down. People that are going to be helped are the people that never had access to super duper Ivy League trained, an amazing cancer doctor in the middle of the desert or the jungle or the favela or wherever. Now you're going to have access to really good healthcare. That's going to change life expectancy. That's going to change a lot of things. One of the other 16 areas that's going to explode, entertainment and the things we consume. So our social media data, our movies, music, TV shows, etc. All of that unstructured data that is now, thanks to natural language processing and machine learning, is now getting processed. Now that it's being handled and analyzed, we're going to talk about the implications of all of that. But that is going to be, tell me what you consume and I will tell you who you are. So it's going to be a very good source of segmentation, of identity, of figuring out how to do personas, marketing personas. And that's going to continue to be a huge area. Obviously the transportation data, how we move around the city, is going to be very important. So all the logistics, the trains, planes, automobiles, and I guess in the future drones, and all this information is going to be very important in terms of city design and how we move around and how things happen. Another really important area is just when we go out, because think about it, we're covered when we're in the house, when we're in the office, when we're our body, this and that. But so we'll keep segmenting so that we can maximize the data coverage around all of the things that we do in our lives. But a lot of the things that we do is just go out. So this is dining, movies, theater, events, concerts. So definitely there's going to be some sort of mechanism to track all that, and a lot of it will be done between your smartphones and your wearables and checking into different locations so that you can get presented with different offers and coupons. But it also has to do with how we spend our time and how we blow off steam and how our levels of stress. It's going to do a lot of correlations between our leisure times and our health levels. So that area is going to be very important, especially on the medicine side and on the entertainment consumption side, of course. So I think that there's going to be a lot of data generated around that, a lot. In our entertainment, the time we spend with family, the time we spend with the kids, the time we spend connected games, connected toys. The other huge area of data that it's already there and will continue to be there is the telecom data. But of course, that's going to grow significantly with a lot of the wearables, especially the wearables that come over the smartphone 5G connections and the carriers. Not all the data will come through that, by the way. If you're not familiar with Sigfox, you should get familiar with this low latency. It's a different bandwidth frequency. It's a different type of network for messaging and connecting to IoT, but it's going to be very widely used in the future. Sigfox, LoRa, you should study those because that's going to provide an alternative to those wearables vehicles connecting through Wi-Fi 6 or through the 5G. Just like the industrial Internet of Things is getting into all of our industrial processes, making them smart and more efficient and giving you an entirely new sensory system for your processes and factories, and you're going to get an amazing amount of data that you've never had before. The same thing with equipment, more sophisticated equipment that we may have at home or at gyms or things like that. So smart equipment. The smart equipment is gonna really be able to get data like we've never had before. And it's going to be very much related to the Internet of Bodies, and to our health. And it's going to be a great amount of data. The other part is professional sports. They're always going to be ahead of the game and, in the cutting edge of the cutting edge. But some of the stuff that I saw, like the helmet manufacturers and how they're using the new 3D printing where just like the Terminator, the object emerges. It's an amazing technology. Obviously, we'll put the links. It's really, you look at that and you're like, oh, the future is here. And they can then now do custom protection for each player. And all the helmets are going to be connected, and you're going to have all these new KPIs. What was the impact, and how many, I don't even know how they're going to express it, but how many pounds per inch or torque. You're going to be able to get into almost automotive level like data, engineering, structural engineering level data for professionals. I think it's going to change the game. When you see those baseball movies and somebody throws a 98 mile per hour fastball, they're like, okay, you're hired. And because they know that's very rare. And so when they see somebody hit with 2,500 pounds per inch, there you go. Another Refrigerator Perry, no? Refrigerator Perry was a famous football player in an old Bears team that won the Super Bowl. So we've talked about government, we've talked about transportation, we've talked about the home, the office, we've talked about health, the Internet of Bodies, the Internet of Things, the industrial Internet of Things, the data that comes from all the apps that we consume in the gaming. And so part of it is going to be services, and part of it is going to be entertainment. And so there's all these sources of data are going to become sources of future income. So when you think of an idea, think about how that idea maps to these 16 macro areas of data productivity. And if it hits 1, 2, or more areas, there's going to be a lot of studies, and it's going to continuously change. But some of these slices in the pizza are $1 trillion slices, and some of them are $500 billion slices, and some of them are $250 billion slices. There's a number of competitors and money raised and venture capital invested accordingly. And you decide. There's money to be made everywhere. You decide where you think you can make a difference and where you can create a business. But you start with first-party data. That's how you start your business design going forward. What's the first-party data that I'm going to generate? And then you build the business model around that.